What's up YouTube, this is Tien bringing you episode 4 in the Map Sustain Advice series. Today we are going to talk over a player's gameplay. His name's Ryu, and the overarching concept that I'm going to address afterwards is building up your map pool by over-investing into your maps. This video behind me is, like I said, from Ryu. He is the first player to ever submit footage where he's actually sustaining maps. So he puts in 9 maps, gets 12 back. The video is actually really nicely edited. I'll have a link to it in the description below if you guys want to check out that footage. There's a lot of things he's obviously doing right, some things that I might do differently, and we'll cover those right now. So the things he's doing right: he's chiseling, he's alking, he chooses not to val, but he re-rolls his map until he gets 80 quant and 20 pack size. So that's another way you can kind of approach mapping. It makes the Xana mod that you use a little bit cheaper. He chooses to do Harbinger, which I like. And then, you get to re-roll the map. So I guess it costs a little bit more to re-roll your maps when you don't have the right pack size and quant. But then, that cost is made up for by the Val Orbs not being a part of the Xana mod option. So just an option there. I prefer valing. He prefers doing the re-rolling. Perfectly fine. We both sustain maps, right? In terms of things that I don't think he did that well, or things that he could improve, there were a couple sextant choices that I think he could have done a little bit better. He kept the bodyguard sextant in one of his set of 3 maps. I actually don't like that sextant that much. I know it says you get an additional map off the boss, but that's not guaranteed to be a high tier map, and also it only adds like 2 monsters, the 2 bodyguards next to the boss. I guess potentially 4 if you get the twin map with 2 bosses. But yeah, anyways, it's not that many more monsters added to it. It's not that high value of a sextant. Another thing he did that I might do a little bit differently is that when he got the Strongbox sextant, he doesn't use Bountiful Traps, Monstrous Treasure, or Ambush Scarabs, anything like that to add more Strongboxes to the map. I view that as, potentially leaving some value on the table. Now at this point in the league, maybe he's already over-sustaining a ton of maps, wants to bypass the player interaction of trading for those things. But, if we're talking for over-investing and sustaining in your maps, building up a big pool, those are some things that I think you should do, especially in the beginning when you're building up that map pool. So yeah, he obviously does a lot of good things. That's why he's able to sustain maps. I'll go now into the big topic, which is like over-investing in your maps, and I kind of alluded to it already in episode 1, but just going all in terms of map sustain. Often I get the question, do you think it's good to use the Xana map mod or to val your maps? And I say both. Go all in. Use Prophecies. He's doing an indoor map here. He could use Plague of Rats, for example, as a way to add monsters to the map. Over-invest in terms of maybe even Scarabs, things like that. I want to talk a little bit about stuff outside of the map that you can do to get more map sustain. You can get Prophecies for, adding Soulfight. Master Seek's help Nico, Master Seek's help Alva. So you can get more Soulfight, you can get more Temples, and this stuff that's kind of part of your mapping can also give you maps. So once you get deep down enough into Delve, you can start getting high tier map drops as well. And that's part of map sustain as well. When you're trying to build up that pool, especially early in the league, do everything you can to get as many maps as you can. I guess even further, some things that he could do, use the cartography Scarabs like I mentioned before. I think right now he's getting into the Strongbox ones. Scarabs are going to be a big part of the game, I think, moving forward. And depending on how much they cost, I think they could definitely be worth it as a way to over-sustain your maps. I know it's kind of daunting maybe as a newer player to buy all of these things to kind of sustain your maps, but that's why this series is kind of aimed more towards the intermediate players that are struggling to sustain maps or wondering how I build up such a big map pool every league. Another way you can build up a big map pool is by having a backup map. That's something that I do each league. So if I'm trying to do T16s, I'll have a shaped T15 as my backup map. And so that way, if I'm running low, the number I like to have is about 20 maps to choose from, so I can play around my sextants. If I'm starting to run low, say I get to like 19 or something like that, I'll go and do my T15 backup map and start building up a big pool of my Elder T16 map again. He chooses a great map. He chooses Armory. For me, my backup map was Spider Forest. My main map was Underground Sea. I think both maps have a lot of merit in terms of which one you're trying to sustain. In my next video, I'll talk a little bit about how I choose the maps that I shape. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode of Map Sustain Advice. Feel free to leave any comments in the questions below, and I will see you guys in the next one.